Dave, so you know we're on YouTube. Yes, YouTube as well. And Mr. Boki, while I've got you in this captive audience situation, I apologize for all the bad emails I keep sending you that are intended to go to usage.
Oh,
Say that again.
In my day
I
job?
Well, no, I send things to PB and it jumps to you instead of Paul Busich, so you get these weird random things from me occasionally.
Oh, okay.
I apologize.
Did you get a response? There was something I got from my day job here from you. Did you get a response from anybody on that?
No. You're talking about for how people are tracking their time?
Yeah, requests for... Yeah. Gary didn't respond?
No.
Okay.
I did get an answer from some people at Human Services, though, so don't feel like it's a deal to have to follow up on.
Yeah, well, so we got DM involved, and Human Services are our big ones, and Economic Development. I don't know how they're doing that, because if it was already budgeted, they're not supposed to take it for CARES Act dollars, right? It has to be a direct COVID.
It's if you were to have been doing otherwise something significantly different. So for instance, the city manager has asked me to work on specifically getting ready for your next Monday night or Tuesday night study session about this stuff in Lakewood. And so that time I otherwise wouldn't be doing that stuff. So I would be able to get reimbursed for that time that I'm going to be spending on it.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So similar would apply at the county. Hello, Mr. Daniels.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Great.
Good. So far as you can see, we have you and Mr. Guerrero. We're hoping for all 6 of you actually, but we never heard back officially from the ladies. So hopefully they'll just tune in like they did last time.
Yeah, hopefully.
And we are live on YouTube as of now, Mr. Daniels. So
All right. Do I have to mention, should I mention that at all on anywhere on there, or does people already know, or what?
They already know. It's been noticed a number of different ways.
Okay.
Anybody barbers at work on the side?
Yep.
You do? Who?
Myself, I have to do mine.
Well, you know, I'm trying to think of the guys that don't have much hair, and I'm gonna grow it out and then make a little wig for people when I cut it.
There you go.
Could probably make some money for, you know, city of Lakewood or something.
Yeah, something.
I think I'm gonna go back to 1972.
Yeah, me too. showing my grandkids what's right in the 70s, what it looked like, what I look like on the back. I just have to use more product to make it nice and smooth.
Shoot.
Believe it or not, Don, when I was young, I was asked to be a hair model.
Oh, wow. Good job. Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, James, you'd be proud. I was bolting up those metal brackets today.
Oh yeah,
That's like the finishing touches. I put the one at the very peak.
nice. Things
Yeah.
things
It
are
was-
happening. Did you end up getting the roof all done?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Good.
Water's not leaking in or anything,
Good.
and so, you know, I got a little bit of dirt work to do yet, and then I can put pavers in,
Very cool.
and then I'm working on my lawn so it looks nice, and so we can have we're not a quarantined again party or something.
Yeah.
I told Dan Durr that we could do that, you know, and I told Anna that, but we
Yeah.
could even do that for the planning commission.
Yeah,
That'd
if
be
people-
fun.
And if people want to swim, they could jump in my pool.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, so where's
Tim,
Ron?
you got that planned? Are we gonna have a, I don't know what you call it. Could be a coming out party, but that is bad connotation.
Well, for some, they wouldn't care, but for others, it would be confusing.
And shoot, oh
I
man,
see Ryan Pearson has joined us, I think. Nope, he
Okay.
left again. He'll be back.
Oh,
Sorry.
Hey, Tiffany, if I
Yes.
go online to the city's website, where do you guys keep the planning commission agenda? Because I'm using that.
If you go to the city's website and
Yeah.
if you go to Planning Commission, there's a place where you can link down to each meeting's agenda. There's a drop-down list. If you scroll down lower on
But
the
I'm
page.
looking for, I can't find planning commission. Where do I go though?
Oh,
I believe you go to the city clerk's section of the website.
Oh, it's city clerk. Okay.
the other way to search for it is just on the homepage. You can go under government and then you can link over to boards and commissions and it'll
Okay,
show
okay.
up there as well.
Okay. I'm getting there.
And I'll have it on the screen as we talk about stuff too.
I don't-
And
Yeah.
Dave, under council comments, do you want to talk about what we approved the other night about the hearing examiner?
Sure, I can talk about the emergency proclamation.
Yes. Thank you. Because I think you do a much better job with it and it does concern them to some extent. So if we have time.
Yep. Mr. Pearson, welcome.
How's it going?
Good, buddy.
where are the two ladies at?
That's what we're a little concerned about. They never replied apparently to Karen Devereaux that they would be here tonight, but we have 6 total and you have
A quorum, 4 of us.
you. Yeah. And I'll unmute Karen. Did you ever hear back from Connie or Nancy, Karen?
I did not.
Okay, thanks. And I spoke too soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Nancy.
Ask her for ears or
Nope,
oh,
they're
they're
both there.
together again.
Well,
Two birds in a nest.
Yep, we're here.
You guys are having too much fun.
I know,
I
we
know.
always do.
We're gonna go upstairs though.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm gonna carry you around.
Okay,
all right.
All right.
get on, hurry up.
Okay, wait, I
Oh.
gotta
Okay,
get,
we're on our way.
I gotta get a cup of water, just a minute.
We're gonna get vertigo here.
Push him around and see if he gets vertigo.
Okay. We're at Connie's house today. Did
Okay,
you get
good.
me food or are we just going without water?
Yeah, just
All right,
water.
okay.
Jeez.
We'll have to get it. Sorry, I'm slow. I fell down the stairs.
Hopefully they're 6 feet apart, you know.
Yeah, we are. Actually, we've been together since the beginning, so we don't have to be 6 feet apart.
Yeah, we're family now.
You're twins, huh?
Uh-huh, that's it.
Hold on to it.
We're getting there. Just a minute, guys.
And just so you're aware, Nancy and Connie, we are on YouTube as well.
Well,
Okay.
we're not live yet, are we?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry. My apologies.
No,
That's okay.
Okay,
This is what makes local government fun.
okay. We are here and ready to rock and roll.
yeah, well, except we can't see you, but that's okay.
How's
There you
that?
go. That's even better. There you go. Awesome.
Okay, good now.
Mhm.
So, everyone ready to go? Ready to
I
go?
believe we are, Mr. Chair.
All right. We'll call the meeting of the Planning Commission order this Wednesday, May 20th, 2020. Jeez. If Karen, you could call roll, please.
Connie Coleman Lackady,
Present.
Don Daniels,
Here.
James Guerrero,
Here.
Nancy Hudson Eccles,
Here.
Ryan Pearson,
Here.
Paul Wegman.
Our agenda, I'm gonna get it. I have
Wasn't,
it.
You have quorum.
Copy.
Thank you so much. Before us, we have the minutes of May 13th, 2020. I'm looking for a motion to, for those minutes.
I move we accept the minutes as written.
Mr.
Second.
Wagaman,
Oh, we lost Mr. Daniels for a second here.
aye. All those in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, minutes passed as written. Thank you. And then at this time, if you guys want to mute your microphones, and then if you just raise your hand, you know, like this, and then if you have a question, I'll address, and you can unmute. Any changes to our agenda tonight, Tiffany?
No, Mr. Chair, no.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. And so I'll open up public comment. I haven't received anything in my package. Was there anything by staff? Any public?
Nothing I'm
comment?
aware of. Ms. Devereaux, were there any public comments submitted to you?
No, none received.
Okay. So at this time, we'll close the public comment period. Move to number 6, unfinished business. We do not have any this evening. So we'll move right to public hearing. Do you want to say anything before I open the public hearing at all, Tiffany? Or?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. The first public hearing tonight is related to the annual development regulations. And so I'm going to give you a very brief shared screen presentation here for just, so bear with me just 1 second, please. Can you see that all right?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, it's not responding. There we go. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is the annual development regulation package public hearing that you're holding this evening. And if you recall from your last meeting, this is a package separate and apart from the comprehensive plan amendment package, which sometimes includes development code changes. This is a package that is a more general one, and it includes recommendations coming from staff, coming from applicants, coming from just the general public. And it can be anything from a typo in the code to some actual process changes, just depending on what people have experienced since the last time this type of a review was done of the municipal code. Also, on an annual basis right now, it says in the code that the city is supposed to provide an up-to-date, accurate version of the comprehensive plan and development regulations in effect by July 31st of each year. And so this is in preparation for that as well. As you see at the bottom of the screen, the proposed amendments this year are related to titles 1, 12, 14, 15, 17, which are all kind of supplemental to and related to the content which is in 18A, the Land Use and Development Code, that the Planning Commission has purview to review and make recommendations about. One correction from the last time you saw this package, we did introduce to you a chapter 3.64 update, which is related to the city's multifamily tax exemption. Upon further review about that, it's actually the case that that is something the city council takes action on without planning commission involvement. So you're going to be making a recommendation when the time comes for all the other chapters, but not on Title III. And then when you take public hearing tonight, because it was advertised as including this, should anybody happen to provide you comment about Title III, you would just accept that and forward it along. So, sorry. Hearing examiner appeals in Title I, a definition in Title 12, references to state administrative code in Title 14, a statement that the International Existing Building Code, or IEBC, would be used within Chapter 15, and then some changes regarding plat alterations in Title 17 are the chapters tonight for the hearing. And then the rest are in Title 18, and I think we went through these in pretty good detail last time. There were a few additions as we discussed last time from your first packet, but you received that in your electronic packet already. So as far as the time period goes, tonight we've got our public hearing. Action would be scheduled for June 3rd, and then it moves on to City Council. So unless you have any questions of me, that's it from me on this issue, Mr. Chair. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, sorry. I just went blank there for a minute. How come I got mute?
You're not muted. We can hear you.
Okay, something. All right. So, okay. So at this time, I'll open up the public hearing of 2020 Annual Development Regulation Amendments. And do we have any statements or any public participation on this?
I'll ask Ms. Devereaux again. Did you receive any transmissions of comments for the annual development regulation package?
I did not receive any.
Okay. Does any commissioners have any questions or at this time and want to make any comments on the under public hearing? No? Seeing none, Ryan, I can see everybody. Okay. So at this time, we'll close the public hearing of the 2020 Annual Development Regulation Amendments. We'll close that. And we'll move to the next public hearing regarding biennium review of the Downtown Sub-Area Plan and Form-Based Code. Ms. Tiffany?
Thank you. Give me just 1 second and I'll be sharing the screen one more time. I think. Sorry, this is a different one. 1 second and I'll get the other one open. There we go. Okay, so tonight as well as a public hearing. This time it's about the potential amendments to the downtown sub-area plan, the related planned action ordinance, which was listed, but again, we'll talk about that a little bit separately in a minute. And then the hybrid form-based code, which is included in Lakewood Municipal Code Title 18B. So as we discussed a week ago, as this was introduced to you, there's two ordinances that adopted the package regarding the downtown plan. One was Ordinance 695, and within that, it talks about monitoring the impact of the downtown code or Title 18B in implementing the plan. And then Ordinance 696 talks about how every 2 years there would be a review done by the SEPA responsible official and then the council about the planned action ordinance. And then Exhibit D of Ordinance 696 refers specifically to the transportation mitigation fees, which are identified within the planned action ordinance. So because the planned action ordinance is, and this is described in more detail in your full packet, but in summary, the planned action ordinance is actually something that would be outside of the Planning Commission's purview because it is a SEPA document. And so the SEPA responsible official takes their recommendation directly to council for action. So when you take comment tonight, and as you might take action in a week, the recommendation that will be coming from the Planning Commission will be only on the policies and vision and what have you within the plan, which had the maps and the explanation of what the intent was behind the sub-area plan. And then the 18B, Title 18B, if there were anything that came out of that. So what we are recommending as a staff is that because the downtown package as a whole was adopted in October of 18 and was implemented starting in January of 2020, it's less than 2 years old even. It's, in our opinion, too new to be coming in and making changes at this point. So we would recommend leaving it as is and bring it up for review again in 2 more years. But to provide you with a little bit of status as in terms of what has happened since it was adopted, first and foremost, the city invested in the Festival Street, or now what is called the Colonial Plaza along Motor Avenue. It's now in place and it's planned to have the night market once that launches, as well as other public events that Lakewood might host. To date, there have been a number of projects added to the city's transportation improvement program. And you'll actually hear a little bit more about that in a few minutes from Mr. Ott. But they did adopt in 2019 the projects identified as part of the downtown plan into the transportation program. And then right now the city is in the latter stages of adopting an update to the park's legacy plan. And that also includes now the downtown Central Park and the Green Street Loop. These are the areas where you have projects that have been moved forward to date since adoption of the downtown plan. And you can see the stars that it's pretty well distributed throughout the area of the sub area boundaries, excuse me. And then you have businesses that have opened, you've had businesses that have relocated. This is all as of March 31st of this year. This is a summary of different companies or businesses that have paid or not paid transportation mitigation fees since they came in. The one at the very bottom there talking about Barbecue Pete's has actually now been finalized at that amount. So if you were to add another $61,000 to the highlighted number there, we would be just over $200,000 collected to date in transportation mitigation fees. What you will also see in the column to the left is that there are a number of projects or businesses that did not pay any fee. And that is because per the administrative policy in place, if a business is moving into an existing area or an existing space that used to have either the same or more traffic as this new business, meaning there is no net increase in trips, they would not pay any additional transportation mitigation fees. So as it sits now, we talked about this a week ago, you have a public hearing right now, and then action should you want to take any recommendation to City Council would be determined next week. And then it moves on to the City Council for their discussion and consideration. And with that, unless there's no questions for me, public hearing.
All right, great. So at this time, we'll open up the public hearing of the biennial review of the downtown sub-area plan and form-based code. And so I'll ask again if staff had any, submitted any comments from the public.
Ms. Devereaux, was there any received?
I did not receive any.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so any other comments from the fellow commissioners? Seeing none at this time, then we'll close the public hearing of the biennial review of the downtown sub-area plan and form-based code at this time. Wow, what a difference this makes. I'm not having any public. So, okay, so we'll move to new business. Staff report on the 6-year transportation improvement program, 2021 through 2026. And you're mentioning we have Mr. Ott with us.
Yes, Weston Ott is here to provide this information to you. And then I'm going to be sharing my screen one more time to show the packet materials that are related to this presentation.
Great. Welcome, Mr. Ott.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. So I have a very brief update, and let me make sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I'd like to speak primarily from, it's page 72 of your packet, and Tiffany will bring that up for you to see as well. This is the map that shows our proposed new TIP projects, as well as some modifications. So the tip has been touched just recently. We made an amendment back in April 20th of 2020. So just about a month ago, well, exactly a month ago. And that was to add one project to make it eligible for a PSRC grant. So the tip has gone through through the public process again. That included a hearing. So it's been touched a number of times. So as we look to update the tip, which is a requirement to have it updated by July 1st, we looked at what would be added, and what made sense is back in September of 2019, the council had a retreat looking at both connectivity of streets within Lakewood and funding options to make some of those things happen. So what's shown in this figure, Tiffany's pulling it up right now, or you can find it in your packet on 72, is in magenta. You will see the projects that are added.
And give me just 1 second. I'm trying to get the right size for it at Weston, and then it'll come up. There we go.
Yeah, sorry about that. That's actually
no, that's quite
figure.
okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Yay!
Thank you very much, Tiffany.
Sure.
So the ones in magenta to make the connectivity throughout the city were the ones that aren't currently in the tip. Those projects in orange were in the tip, and we made some modifications, whether it was adding a sidewalk to the description or extending the limits to connect with other projects. And then I might add those in red are upcoming. And then in the tip, we also have some projects that we're currently constructing that will be taken out. So for example, the city's currently building the sidewalk in Oak Brook. Won't show up in the 2021 through 2026 tip. Veterans Drive will still be in there because there will be a little bit of work that will remain into the following year. We are currently doing an overlay on Silicon Boulevard. So quite a bit of work is going on, not to mention our usual maintenance work. So again, for this tip round, what we would like to do is just add those projects that have been reviewed by council that connect within the city, different areas, whether it's parks or business areas, to the current tip. And so at this time, if there's any specific questions on those additions or modifications, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great. Fellow commissioners have any comments? or questions for Mr. Ott? Mr. Pearson?
In the middle of the picture there, it was at Gravelly Lake and 112th. It's a magenta circle. What is that? Is that just the improvements around the intersection or something?
Correct. So that 112th, we'd really like to get that connection between Gravelly and Bridgeport. We're currently designing a project, the extension of that 112th, 111th, that to Kendrick and Sounder Station. But on the other end, down at Gravelly and 112th, that signal needs replaced. It's an old span wire signal. So it's just adding that project. And by adding that as a standalone project, if a grant opportunity comes up that we can apply for something that would be specific to that type of project and dollar amount, or we could have added into the existing 112th project. But for flexibility, we set it up as a standalone signal replacement.
Thanks.
Great. Any other questions for Mr. Ott? Mr. Buer?
This is just more information for the planning commission. Can you not hear me?
Nope, it's bad again, Miss Dave.
Yell a word out and maybe I'll know what you're talking about.
It has to do with the 112th improvements.
That doesn't help me, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
So yeah, so anyone else have any questions? Sorry, Mr. Buer, every time we go live, it's pretty, we can hardly understand what you're saying. Anyone else? I don't see anything else, Mr. Ott. I appreciate it. If we do, we'll follow up with some questions before our next meeting and move forward after that.
Thank you very much and have a good evening.
All right, great. Thank you so much. So next on our agenda under new business is the Lakewood Station District Sub-Area Plan Status Update.
Yes, and one more time, I'm going to share my screen. This is going to be actually the same document will cover both of the status updates that are on your agenda. So, oh, Mr. Buer's back. Maybe he could try now while the voice is good.
Yes, Mr. Buer. Up, unmute yourself.
Is that any better?
Yes, right now.
Okay. The 112th Street improvements are quite important if you're looking at Clover Park School District's high school. In the event that they expand in the future or make improvements, the city is going to require full curb, gutter, and sidewalk adjacent to 112th for their property. So if the city were able to get a grant to make the improvements on 112th, it would be a big advantage to the Clover Park School District because they wouldn't be having to use their funds for street improvements. So I would hope that the Planning Commission would support this request for that aspect alone.
Great. Thank you for that information.
Should the Planning Commission consider a motion then recommending support, Mr. Buer?
If they're ready to do so, that would be fine.
Okay. I think you understood that, Mr. Daniels.
If they wanted to support it, that would be fine.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So should the Planning Commission want to take a motion just to say you recommend support of the 6-year transportation improvement program, we could forward that to council.
Tonight? Is that what you're asking?
It could be tonight.
Okay. Is anyone, fellow commissioners, want to make a motion in regards to that? A motion to accept the updated 6-year transportation program to move it forward to the council?
I'll make a motion to accept the 6-year transportation plan and I recommend it for council review.
I second.
And Ms. Pearson made a motion and Ms. Connie Coleman-Lackady second. Any questions or changes? Hearing or seeing none, I should say. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye, aye, okay. No opposed? Okay, it passes with that recommendation and approval to send it to council. Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Chair, thank you. I'll take you back to your packet one more time. So following this, give me just a moment. If you happen to have this open yourself, or if you've got it in hard copy, we're at page 77.
Okay.
Excuse me. And first status update is on the Lakewood Station District Sub-Area Plan. So as you know, this has gotten started, and in February there was a stakeholder meeting where some of you were invited and attended. Where we are now is the lakewoodstationdistrict.org website is going to be the main portal, not only for just general information like it always would have been, but to also collect information from the public, given the COVID-19 restrictions on interactions with the public right now. So that website has the latest documents. It is about to have a survey placed on it for public response. And then we are going to be doing hard copy mailing out of a postcard to residents and businesses within the Lakewood Station District sub-area boundaries, as well as 300 feet outside of it, to respond to that. And we'll get those back by the end of June. I believe we're going to compile the answers that we received back. What we have also done here is attached for you the sub-area plan's public engagement plan, which again is reflective of COVID-19. So trying to make sure we can get as much response back, even though we can't do the usual types of open houses or event outreach that we would otherwise do. So this is provided for your review should you want to do it. There's been a lot of notice or research, I should say, into the types of businesses and people and the languages they may communicate in, as well as the nature of people that use the Sound Transit station and then just kind of pass through the area, how we can best reach all of those different groups. And so that's included in the public engagement plan as we move ahead as well. So you can see there's going to be the web page, as I mentioned, other social media outreach, using official noticing, making sure the interested parties list is kept up to date, partnering up with, for instance, the Korean Women's Association and the Latino Leadership Group that's active in Lakewood. Eventually, there's going to be the ability to meet with people in person at open houses or public hearings or whatever, and we'll certainly do that when we can. And then we're also trying to make sure that things are provided at least in Korean and Spanish, given the population in the area of the city, but also other languages will be available should we need to do that. The Planning Commission at this point is going to continue to get these types of periodic updates. And then toward the end of the year, and when I say that, I mean September, October, you'll start to get the actual draft documents in front of you, and we'll be having analysis and review of those with you. And then you're scheduled to take action on a recommendation before the end of this year that would go forward to the City Council. So I think that's about all. This has also been presented recently to the City Council. And given your discussion with them at your joint study session this next week, this may come up, but just to let you know, they also have been briefed on where we sit with the Lakewood Station District. So if there's any, are there any questions on that one?
Any questions on the Lakewood? Seeing none at this time, I thank you for that update, and we look forward to further information provided.
Thanks. And then the last time I'll do this to you, you've got right there on that same page 77, just a very single paragraph regarding Vision 2050. This is the document, if you remember, that's being updated for the first time in 10 years. It's currently called Vision 2040. It'll be adopted as Vision 2050. This was postponed. It was actually supposed to get adopted tomorrow, but because of COVID-19 restrictions, the Puget Sound Regional Council is also not meeting right now. And so it's been scheduled basically to be determined. Once it is adopted, it's the multi-county planning policies, which then guide the countywide planning policies, which then guide Lakewood's policies. So it'll have a trickle down effect eventually. And by next year, you may see some changes in, for instance, the Lakewood's comprehensive plan as a result of Vision 2050 getting adopted. But other than that, there's little to report because everything is on hold.
Great.
That's it, Mr. Chair.
Good. Any questions in regards to that? Seeing none at that, we thank you for those updates. And then will, Mr. Boki, if you have any reports from the council would be great.
Yes, I do. A couple of things. I'm actually going to ask Dave. Hopefully, his microphone will work. We did a emergency ordinance dealing with the hearing examiner, and I think he would be much better at explaining what it was about than I would be able to do.
Okay, we'll try Mr. Buer.
Okay.
No.
I'm going to try calling in.
Okay. He'll
Okay.
try to come back.
So I'll just talk till he calls in then.
Okay.
We approved the Parks Legacy Plan the other night, so we're all, of course, excited about that in the long term, of course, because we don't know. Clearly, in the short term, there's a laundry list of items that I think would have a really positive effect on the community. Just is not gonna, we're kind of stuck in the mud or there's a lot of uncertainty surrounding everything we're trying to do. Same thing with the Transportation Improvement Plan. They're both very good documents, well done documents, really create a plan for the future for the city. But a lot of it just depends on funding. Other than that, we're clearly, like you, anticipating getting back to some level of normal, right? We've canceled Summerfest, we've canceled a number of farmers markets. I think Dave's ready.
Yep. Okay, Dave, you want to?
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, finally. To go back a little bit, the City Council passed a emergency proclamation, and basically it told hearings before the hearing examiner. Now, there are three types of decisions: administrative, quasi-judicial, and legislative. Hearing examiner is quasi-judicial. There are very specific time limits that are part of state code and local municipal code. With the current state in order in place, we cannot meet those time limits. We've been waiting on the AG's office to give us some guidance, but none has come forward. So in order to protect the city from any potential liability issues, the City Council passed this proclamation, which basically said we will not process hearing examiner projects until after July 6th. There are three projects affected so far: a plat alteration, an expansion at Pierce College, an expansion at Thomas Middle School. And that really concludes my remarks.
Okay, does anyone have questions for Mr. Buer while he's on the telephone? I don't see any, Mr. Buer. Thank you, I appreciate it. We'll go back to Mr. Boki to follow up if he has any additional information.
So just to say thank you, Chair Daniels. I think you're seeing that. I mean, we're still in the process of canceling most events that we've had. I think there is a time frame on the farmers markets, and keep abreast of those. I didn't follow it that closely, but they are going to try to bring those back. We were hoping, of course, to have those night markets at the new Motor Avenue. I don't think that's going to work. So, at least for the time being, I believe the farmers markets, and I'm kind of looking at the two staff members here, are going to end up out at Fort Silicon Park.
Yeah.
For infrastructure reasons, basically.
Mm-hmm.
rather than at the city hall or at the at Motor Ave. So let's just hope that things kind of get back to normal. We're kind of still waiting to begin to see the impacts, especially in the general fund of what we assume to be a very large drop in the sales tax. And hopefully we can all get back to work. Now one of the things we did do is we approved CDBG money the other night, $350,000. Mr. Buer was heavily involved in putting that together for loans that will hopefully turn into grants for small businesses in our community. It's $350,000, so we expect that it'll go fairly quickly. There is county money available. The county council has expanded that program about a month or so ago. They first started the program, it was just unincorporated area. They've actually included an incorporated area. I think the last report I saw was about 6% of the businesses that had received funding through that program were in the city of Lakewood. That money's going pretty quickly, so I imagine that some CARES Act money will end up in that program also. It's a little bit different program, a little bit different parameters, but pretty much the same. I think it goes up to $20,000 per business there. So hopefully, and then the county has also started through their economic development using the CARES Act money to put these PPE kits together for businesses. And I contacted Linda Smith at the Chamber of Commerce, and she's aware of that. She's working with Becky Newton so that they can get these distributed to businesses, because one of the things that they found out was a lot of these businesses were saying, great, we can get open, but now we have to meet these other guidelines for personal protection equipment. And, you know, where am I going to find masks, right? And so the county was able to purchase these, and they created a kit to help businesses open. So those are becoming available, or in the process of becoming available. I don't know if distribution has started or not, but the chamber is aware of that, and will hopefully work with the county and the city to get those kits out as rapidly as possible so that everybody can open and open safely. So those are two big things going on, that you're actually going to see some results of the federal money making its way to the county and the city. So we'll just keep working through it as best we can, and hopefully things will turn around relatively quickly so that our budget situation doesn't become dire. So
Yeah, great. Does anyone have some questions for Mr. Boki? Yes, Mr. Wagaman.
Paul, the question I have is, you know, the governor keeps saying he's using science and all that stuff. From my personal opinion, it's kind of suspect. You work at the county too, but from a city point of view, is there any pushback we can do on some of the things that the governor's pulling out of, I think, nowhere, to do something here in Lakewood and also possibly at the county?
I know a couple of things, Paul. Early on, there was a lot of confusion involving construction. So let me just start there. And the city of Lakewood did sign on to a letter that the residential construction folks asked for to allow them to work. And the governor finally did relent, I believe, on residential construction, because as you can see, you know, our road projects were going, other construction projects were stopping, and then the residential guys completely got shut down. And that's changed. I don't know that since then we've been involved. I know that there's some talk about some of the cities and the county writing another letter saying, hey, you know, we really need to speed up this process of getting businesses open. but I'll let the city manager, I don't know if he's in receipt of that letter, but I know that there's some other towns that are thinking about putting something like that together. There's also the issue of, I know from my other job that, the governor does have some specific guidelines, or he says he has specific guidelines and he has a dashboard. And the key is right now is to get our results. I mean, I get daily results, right, on my city iPad about various things from the Department of Emergency Management, new cases, deaths, various things like that. But it's not the dashboard that the governor says he's using that's available on their website or the Board of Health's website at the state level. And we're trying to sync the information that we have available with the Tacoma Pierce County Health Department's information has proven to be a little bit difficult for reasons that are kind of beyond me to understand. But I know at the county level, they're working very hard to try to create this dashboard that'll show where we're at in relation to where the governor would like us to be, so we can get to those next steps. Because we're not even at step 2 yet, I don't think.
No.
So until we get there, I mean, but everyone needs to be working towards that goal. But right now, we don't even have the right information in front of us, I don't think, in total, because they want to, I mean, it's pretty clear what he wants, and the information shouldn't be hard to get, but we've got a ways to go. Everybody's got to get on the same page if we're going to get this done.
Right. So, Paul, I do have a couple questions on Facebook where they showed the new public type of agreement to go to the farmer's market.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've taken a look, but there's a lot of negative comments that are coming for this, rules of engagement, basically, to get into the farmer's market. Is a lot of basically overall, why even have it if these are the kind of rules and restrictions that are going to be required on the individuals. It's not normal. These times aren't normal. Everyone's trying to do the best thing, but I just thought it was interesting to see some of those rules in place. One family member. Now, I don't know about you, but typically that was my wife and myself going and enjoying.
Right.
So it says one family member only, and no kids, but yet you're going to have a shaved ice for one of the establishments for eating. Well, I don't know how many adults go and order shaved ice, but
right.
So just those kind of things, possibility to review and look at maybe from the council standpoint.
Yeah, and we haven't really discussed the terms of engagement, I guess, for the farmers market. I know at the council level, that was left to the folks to put together, and I'm assuming that they're working from the guidance that they're being provided from the state and the local health department.
Yeah.
And so until we get some relaxation of those rules, I don't think for large gatherings we're going to see much in the way of large gatherings for a long while. It's going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and so then the other comment I'd make is those kits are great. Those PPE kits are great to help assist businesses, especially the restaurant, the beauty salons, the dental offices. Naturally, that's my side, my regular business is in the PPE equipments, and it's going to be absolutely, courtesy masks cloth masks are going to be readily available. The N95s are going to be months, 6, 8, 10 a year before there's really a large supply of those.
Wow.
And the other one is going to be the most critical is the nitrile disposable gloves are in a critical state, and they're 6 to a year out of trying to get them. And that's some of the requirements these restaurants have to use, the beauty salons, the dental offices. It's going to be a very, very tough deal for when these businesses open back up and they cannot get the product. So it's a real, critical situation. Naturally, all going to first responders and healthcare, which is much needed, no question about it. But you're going to hear probably a lot of businesses when they open up that, where do I get this stuff? And if they do find it, it's going to be 10 to 50% higher than what normal is.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's just as a shock to everyone in this whole situation. Any other questions?
Well, I'd just like to continue on that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we got somebody at the head shed making decisions. And, you know, when you come back to those things, okay, so you're going to make everybody wear gloves. Is that really needed? You know, I haven't seen the data that says that that's true. And you come to the mask thing. I mean, it's all over the darn map. And, you know, at some point in time, we got to say, whoa. The other thing is for us in the school business, you know, if we don't start school in, next year, which, you know, we got the superintendent of public instruction saying that's probably not going to happen. And, you know, and so then I hear the other thing is we're going to try and put people back to work, but the primary daycare is public education. And I mean, we're teaching, but also we're helping parents take care of kids so they can go to work. And so somewhere along the line, somebody's got to get to the governor and some of the people up front and say, hey, come on, guys, we got to get on this program here, or we're going to fumble the ball.
Yeah. Any other questions for Paul? Comments? Okay, we'll go to staff. Any staff reports, Miss Tiffany?
Just a couple of things. So tied back to both the transportation improvement program and then the comments that Mr. Boki was making about some of the dollars that are starting to come available to the city. You'll hear a lot more about this next Tuesday night at the Joint Planning Commission City Council meeting. There's going to be a separate presentation regarding there's now 1.79 million coming to the city of Lakewood to deal with COVID relief protection and reaction activities and purchases, if you will. And the council is going to be talking about where those monies might be funneled to. There's also available now an economic development grant from the state, which potentially the city is looking at maybe applying for some dollars that could be used toward some of the projects within the downtown sub area, actually, because if you remember, there's those transportation mitigation fees to help with some of those projects. But if people aren't opening businesses because of COVID-19, and that's creating a lack of transportation mitigation fees, maybe that's something that could be backfilled with some of these other dollars. So things like that are going to be talked about by the city council over the next few weeks. And then as far as your own meetings, Mr. Chair, 6 days from now, then is that joint commission meeting with the council, and that starts at 7 p.m. And it will be another virtual meeting. So you'll get an invitation probably from Brianna Schumacher, the city clerk, as to how to log into that. The week afterwards, June 3rd, will be the normal time for you. So 2 weeks from tonight, same starting time, same, I think we're going to still be virtual at that point, given the restrictions on the number of people that can meet in phase 2. I think it's limited to 5 still. So I think we're going to be virtual on June 3rd. And then June 17th, at this point, unless something changes, you'll have a presentation regarding the Shoreline Master Plan and the restoration activities. That was a presentation that was supposed to happen way before COVID turned us all onto this new path. So that would be on June 17th. And then you get like 2.5 months off. You guys won't see us again for a long time. I know it's been a really heavy schedule for you over the last month or so, but once we get past June 17th, you're not scheduled to come back again until September.
Great. Question is on the next Tuesdays, the joint council. I want to ask the fellow commissioners, are they going to be available to attend that night, 7 o'clock next Tuesday? Just seeing if you're all available to assist. I don't see, oh, I'm froze up. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't see any hands, but And
Everybody
those-
raise their hands.
Okay, great. I was kind of froze there for a minute. And then would the staff send me, they normally send me a list of our accomplishments or what we've, the recap of what we've did?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll
So,
get that to you.
and I will be in Phoenix that night at 105 or so temperature, but I will make attempt to be available and be on that call as well.
Oh, I know that. I have a question.
Yes, Connie or Miss Eccles?
Do we meet, what time do we meet on the 26th?
The 26th, it would be a 6:45 check-in and the meeting itself starts at 7.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does any fellow commissioners have any other comments?
I do.
Okay, Mr. Wegman.
Are we gonna, we talked about doing something for Chris Weber. Did that get taken care of, or we still need to do something?
Ms. Devereaux, were you able to come up with anything for the commission to take a look at in terms of a proclamation?
Oh, I did not type a proclamation, no. I was under the impression that we were waiting until you guys could present it to him in person, and that they wanted a photograph, the photograph that was used for the brochure, and that they were all going to sign it. And I'm sorry, I don't remember being assigned to type the actual proclamation.
Okay, you and I can work on it. And I think, Mr. Chair, what we can do is have something ready for you guys to at least know about by next Tuesday when you're talking with the council.
Okay, great. Yes, Mr. Buer, good? Okay, awesome. So hearing or seeing no other comments, Mr. Pearson, sorry.
I just had a couple of, I guess, more general comments. I didn't really think they were, public hearing comments, but on the development regulation amendments, the plat alteration, there seems like there's a bunch of stuff in there that's kind of not what I typically see on plat documents, like contours and utilities and trees and stuff like that. And I just was seeing that a place. I just was wondering if you could comment on what's the reason for putting that stuff in there.
Oh, Mr. Buer.
That's at the request of the city attorney.
Yeah, city attorney
Okay.
recommendations. Okay, any other questions? Ryan?
Nope.
Okay. All right, hearing or seeing nothing else, we'll call this planning commission meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.